After weeks of waiting and speculation about when it would finally arrive, the new trailer for Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes finally came during last night's Super Bowl. So many new shots, scenes, lines, and story details were revealed, and I'm here to break it all down. If you like what I do here and want to show your support, be sure to hit the like button on this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so that you can stay up to date on all things apes. Enjoy the video. Everybody, and welcome back to Ape Nation, your #1 source for all things Planet of the Apes on YouTube. My name is Josh, and I am so excited today because we are talking about the brand new trailer for Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes that just dropped last night. This is the trailer that we have all been excited about, we've all been speculating about, we've been wondering for weeks, if not months, when we're going to get the second trailer. We got that report a couple of weeks ago that I talked about, that we're going to get it during the Super Bowl, and that ended up being true because last night we got this trailer and it was awesome. I loved this trailer so much. Honestly, I loved it more than I expected to. First, I just want to talk about my expectations going in before we got it. I only really had two things that I expected / was nervous about going into the trailer. And the first thing I expected, or at least what I really wanted them to do in this trailer, was make it clear for general audiences about when this movie takes place and who the characters are. And the trailer did that. They didn't do that in the first trailer because it was more of a teaser. We just kind of hints, and it left people going, is this about Cornelius? When does this take place? What is this about? This trailer made it abundantly clear. The Caesar trilogy is long gone. This takes place hundreds of years later, 300 years in the future. New characters. They establish who Noah is. They establish who Proximus Caesar is. They establish what the history is, where in the world we are. And then as for what I was nervous about, I was a little nervous they would reveal a little bit too much. I'm not one of these people that's like, oh, trailers ruin everything. They show everything all the time. But there are occasions where they do, and I was really nervous that maybe this would be the case where they do. Fortunately, they do not. I don't think they ruined or revealed too much at all in this trailer. They did what a great trailer does, and they gave you just enough of the story to hook you, but they leave you with a lot more questions than they do answers. So as for my initial thoughts on the whole trailer, I don't think it quite tops what I still consider to be the best Planet of the Apes trailer ever, and to be honest, one of my favorite trailers ever, the iconic trailer for Dawn of the Planet of the Apes that we got back in 2014.
And I want you to know, it's not just about power, it's about giving us the hope to rebuild and reclaim the world we lost.
But this is an excellent trailer. This is so well done. This is so exciting. Everything looks amazing. It got me so excited. I was on the edge of my seat watching this. I've seen it like 7 times already. I'm sure a lot of you have probably seen it at least a dozen, if not more times by now. The visuals look stunning. There's even a couple shots where I will say it might look even better than War for the Planet of the Apes, which I didn't think was possible. But there are some really incredibly high-end, really detailed, really stunning shots. So we're gonna get into all of that in just a minute. But as for the rest of my thoughts, Proximus Caesar looks like a really great villain. I am loving what Kevin Durand is bringing to the table here as far as his voice and his performance. Noah looks like he's gonna be a really compelling protagonist. I'm loving everything we are seeing and learning about him. He feels like a character that I'm going to want to root for from the beginning of this movie all the way until the end. Something I really loved about this trailer. And this was also something I was a little nervous they might do, at least a little bit, and they aren't doing this almost at all. They're not relying on those first 3 movies. They are not using the nostalgia of people that maybe were a little younger when that first trilogy came out. They're not relying on people loving those movies. They're making this feel like a standalone film that takes place in that universe, and that history is still there, but it's not relying on it. You will probably be able to watch this movie and having never seen those 3 movies, and that is exactly the way it should be, and that's exactly the way that it looks like they are going, and I could not be happier about that. This trailer looks great. It's giving me everything that I was hoping it would. It is exciting, it's fun, it's epic. The music's great. It's really well edited. The visuals they show are great. So with all that being said, I don't want to waste any more time talking about all these things, and I want to get into all the nitty-gritty details. I'm not going to touch every single shot, but I'm going to go, for the most part, shot by shot through this entire trailer, talking about it in depth. I'm giving you all my thoughts, all my speculation, talking about some of the theories I've seen online. We'll definitely talk about the May stuff. I know people want to talk about that, so we'll get to it. So without further ado, let's just dive right into this trailer and start from the beginning. So the trailer opens up with this scene that we've seen bits and pieces of in other images and in the first trailer of Noah and his ape friends and May and another human. They're in some area. I don't know where they are. I've had my suspicions that maybe it is Genesis from Rise of the Planet of the Apes, or it could be just some old building. I have no real idea where it could be, but they're exploring, they're rummaging through some old building that is the remnant of human civilization. And in there, the first thing we see is them discovering some book. It's some children's book. We see a picture of someone taking a picture of an ape in the zoo, and over top of it, we have our first new line of dialogue from Proximus Caesar, played by Kevin Durand, and he says,
"Are you familiar with the concept of evolution?"
So right off the bat, we are learning that a big part of this movie is we're going to see apes, particularly Noah, learning about the history of apes and humans, learning about the past that he obviously didn't know up to this point. I talked a lot about how that's going to play a big role in this movie. It's definitely starting to look like it's going to be a really big part of this movie and possibly like a crucial element of the story. So I'm really excited about that. I love that they're going that route. It makes a lot of sense for the time period they're in, and I think it really adds to that naivete and that youthfulness of Noah's character, and we're going to get to go on this journey with him. So I'm really excited about that. And then this shot that's following them looking at the book, this is what I was talking about earlier with how highly detailed these shots look. The CGI in this shot, particularly on Noah's face, it's almost like this restrained rage you can see in his face, and the level of detail, how photorealistic it looks. It's stunning. I'm always in awe when I look at these movies. You could pause any frame and just stare at it for 5 minutes and just be stunned because of how realistic and how well done it looks. The attention to detail is incredible. I'm not going to gush every single time we have a close-up on an ape, I promise, but every time we get one of these super close-ups of apes, I'm just always shocked by how good they look, and this is just one of those that looks like they've taken it to the next level. So then following that scene, we get this shot of, I'm assuming it's probably Noah and his two friends on this journey with him throughout the movie. Some of these wide landscape shots that just kind of showcase all these large environments, again, just stunning to look at. Weta Digital continues just to step their game up every single time they put out a movie. They did it with Dawn and then War for the Planet of the Apes, the most recent Avatar film, and they're doing it again with this. I'm always blown away by what they're able to do. And so we get more shots of these three characters interacting. They're in their village, and over top of it, we get another line of dialogue from Proximus Caesar talking more about the history of humans.
In their time, humans were capable of many great things. Noah! They could fly like eagles fly. They could speak across oceans.
This is a moment that I really liked in the trailer, and again, it's letting us know who Noah is as a character. Right when I saw this scene, you see this smile on his face, him interacting with some of the younger apes. It tells me this is a guy who's just really kind and a compassionate character who cares for other people. He cares for the people in his tribe, and that automatically makes me want to like him. And we'll see through the rest of this trailer, but he just feels like a character that you're going to want to root for and you're going to instantly gravitate to and instantly really like. Again, we get more lines from Proximus Caesar talking about how humans used to rule the world and all the things they used to be capable of. We get this really cool shot of an ape getting a golden eagle coming to him. So I guess it's not just Noah who has a pet golden eagle. I guess maybe this is a thing throughout because the eagle comes to play later in the trailer again. So I'm actually really curious how much of them we're going to see utilized, not just as pets, but as actual like substantial parts of the movie that have a role to play. So I'm really, really curious about how that's going to work. This shot is one of my favorites in the entire trailer. I'm a huge sucker for sunset shots or sunrise shots with silhouettes. You really never go wrong if you have a great TP and you have great visual effects, and this is one of them. This shot is just beautiful to look at. These two, I'm assuming it's Noah and Suna or Amaya or whichever one of his friends it is, but this looks really, really great. Again, blown away by the visuals. Then we cut to this shot of a gorilla blowing into a horn. This part I'm pretty confident takes place over in Proximus Caesar's camp or kingdom, if you will, that we will get to learn more about, and eventually Noah at some point is going to be taken to this place to meet Proximus Caesar. And I assume this gorilla blowing the horn is probably some sort of introduction or the beginning of us getting to see that scene play out. This shot right here of all the humans rising up, freaking out, this is probably a hunting scene of some sort, very reminiscent to the one we see in the original 1968 movie. They probably all heard a horn go off or they heard something and they're all like animals freaking out what's going to happen. And here we see them getting hunted. We get our first shot of May in the trailer. I have some thoughts about May that I'll get to later. I've seen a lot of people have some speculation, so we'll talk about that. But yeah, we get our first shot here of May. My guess is this will probably be our first introduction to her in the movie, but I don't really know. We get another shot of Noah and what I assume is his girlfriend or another ape that he is close to. And again, the visuals just look amazing. This shot has gotten a lot of people talking, and in this shot we see an ape that looks almost identical to Rocket from the first three films. And I'm usually not the type to say, oh, I wonder if this character is related to this character. Usually I just think characters are new and they're not going to be connected to anybody, and that's just the way I prefer things. I know other people want everyone to be related to everybody else. That's fine. But this is the one case where I'm looking at this character and I'm like, the resemblance is uncanny. I mean, even down to the ear. So either one of two things. They just had the character model and wanted to use it again, or this will be like a little Easter egg descendant of Rocket. I don't really know which one of the two. I mean, it would be fun if they just made him Rocket's great grandchild or something. But either way, he looks great, and I think this is one of Proximus Caesar's guards. We saw him in the first trailer, or we saw the back of him in the first trailer coming to the entrance when May and Noah are entering the kingdom. So I'm really curious to see how he plays into the movie. And then we see another shot of, I don't know what that big structure is that's destroyed that they're all walking towards. It's obviously part of Proximus's kingdom, and on it we see the window symbol from the first trilogy, Caesar's window symbol. I'm so curious as to how that's going to be used in this movie. Is it going to be a symbol that's been corrupted by Proximus Caesar? Is it going to be a symbol that means freedom for all apes? Like, I'm so curious what they're going to do with that now that we have this history, how it's going to be utilized, who believes in what are the factions. So I'm really excited about them taking the history of those first three movies and now finding ways to utilize it in this new time period. Then we get our first shot of Proximus Caesar. He looks great. And then we get some shots of some war painted up apes. This is different than what we got in Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. We saw a lot of apes kind of having that skull type war paint makeup on their face. This one, we have more like native tribal type paint, a little bit different, but it still looks really cool. We get this shot of Noah walking, I'm assuming entering Proximus's kingdom. And then we get this really cool scene. We have Proximus talking to Noah.
We will learn. Apes will learn. I will learn.
They're going to learn. They're going to learn about what humans were capable of. They want to learn about how to become better like the humans were in the past. And I think this is definitely going to play into Proximus's ultimate goal of learning how to use human technology, finding that old human technology, using electricity. Proximus just looks like a really fascinating villain. He's unhinged and he's very much wanting to be a dictator. He wants to be the best of the best. And that's terrifying. That can be really scary. You can feel that in this trailer. You can feel that this is a character that people are almost worshiping like a cult-like leader because they don't know who else to turn to, but he's also feared by others like Noah. And so I'm really fascinated about what this dynamic is going to be. I really like that we're seeing these two characters interact in a much more intimate way, in a much more quiet way. I'm glad it's not just this good guy, bad guy yelling and fighting rivalry. We're seeing the building up of that dynamic in this scene. And the look on Noah's Noah's face here, you can just, again, like I said, he just feels like this really compelling lead, and you can feel it in this scene. You can feel that he's a character who knows the difference between right and wrong, and he can tell that what this guy's doing is probably wrong. And I really like that. I really like that. My assumption is that shortly after this scene, we will see Noah and Proxima Caesar tear apart and become enemies. I don't think they're enemies quite yet at this point in the movie, but at some point, probably not long after this, they will become enemies. What exactly fires that off, I'm not entirely sure, but I'm really curious to see how it all plays out. And then we get this awesome shot of a gorilla. I've talked about it before, but I really love their armor. I love that gladiator style Roman armor that they have on their shoulders. It's really cool looking. And the gorilla itself, the visuals look great. They're obviously going into their hunt. And then we get this shot of humans running while Noah watches. And then we get this awesome shot of Proxima Caesar yelling, which we get an extension of later in the end of the trailer. And then here we see May running. I think this is just a continuation of that scene we saw earlier in the trailer. Again, it's really cool that they're going back to the dynamic of humans in that feral state being hunted like they were in the 1968 film, and they're capturing it so well. It looks really well done. You can feel that intensity, I think, even more so than you did in those scenes in that first film. You can really feel that fear that the humans have of the apes, and you can also feel that kind of complete lack of any sympathy whatsoever that apes have for humans. They just look at them as dirt. They look at them as nothing, similar to the way that humans looked at apes 300 years prior. So it's really interesting how they're playing with that. I cannot wait to see how that area of the story and area of that history is explored when we get to learning about the interactions between apes and humans and what that history has been like and how it's evolved over the years. So this shot I think is really cool. I believe we got a piece of concept art a while ago that was similar to this. And in this shot, we see the remains of what is some kind of sports stadium. I think it's either a baseball or a football field or something. I really like that we're getting more and more of that kind of stuff. It's so cool that we're just seeing less and less remnants of human civilization. You saw in Dawn and War that the apocalypse had come, but the world still looked like Earth as we know it, just more foliage overgrown everywhere. But here it really looks like this is stuff that has been around for hundreds of years that is just barely hanging on, and the world now barely resembles the world we know it today. So I love that they're doing that kind of stuff. I love that they just have those little details in there. It really adds to the world. It looks great. Here we get our first scene with Raka, the orangutan in the film, and Noah's friend, telling Noah about the legends of how apes and humans at one point were able to stand together, stand side by side.
Legend says ape and human lived side by side. Impossible as that may seem.
What I'm wondering is he talking about the rise of the Planet of the Apes days, prior to the downfall of human civilization? Or was there a time between the end of War for the Planet of the Apes and this movie where apes and humans maybe had some sort of peace or were able to come to some sort of agreement? I don't know. I'm excited to learn more about that and how the timeline evolved and how we got to this point. This shot right here, I don't know what Noah is touching. I don't know where he is. Some sort of very old sculpture. And what I'm really excited about this movie, I've already talked about it, but I'm just so excited and really curious to see how they're going to approach Noah and the other apes learning about what humans used to be like. I'm really curious how they're going to play with that, how it's going to tie into the story, how it's going to be utilized within the story, and especially with characters like May and how she's going to deal with it, how she's going to handle it. So I'm really curious how that whole aspect of the story is going to be approached. So here we get to see a little more of the scene where Noah and May and everyone else are looking into this telescope. Where they're at, what are they looking at? We still do not know. What does it all mean? Again, we don't know. But I do think it does continue to raise questions. I am curious about why they're here, what they're looking at. Does this time more into learning about human history and what it means for the future, what it means for these characters? I don't know, but I am very fascinated by everything going on here. I've seen a lot of people speculating that maybe this could be May's Statue of Liberty moment, where she has some big discovery that she makes that really is her big moment of maybe learning more about who she is or where she comes from in some way. I don't know. I've just seen some people speculating about that. I don't necessarily think that's the case, but it could be. You never know. There's so many scenes they're showing in this trailer where I just go, I don't know what the context is. I don't know what exactly is happening, but I see just enough that makes me wonder, what does it mean for the characters and their journey that they're going on? fun. And I think that's why I love this trailer so much, is that they just have done such a great job at raising my questions, raising my hype at the same time. So I'm very, very excited about all of that. Then after that, we get this scene and this line by Raka talking to Noah. In this same scene, we saw in a trailer, the first trailer, that May is next to them. So either she's joined them, or this is after they rescued her, or something along the lines, but this is definitely closer to probably the first or second act of the film. But Raka says that she is smarter than most. Also, you see him wearing that Caesar window emblem again, which I really just think it's so cool that they're bringing that into this mythology in this way. It's really, really exciting. But his line about her, she is smarter than most. I've already seen people talking about this means that she's an astronaut. It confirms it. I don't want to put a damper on people. If you want to theorize, you want to speculate, you want to believe that she's an astronaut, that's awesome. I'm happy for you. I'm really excited for you. I've talked about it in my video talking about this very topic. I don't think she's an astronaut. I don't think this trailer does anything to confirm that at all. Now, her being smarter than most, I think that's been pretty apparent in the trailers and the pictures that we've seen so far. I think that's been apparent in all the interviews we've gotten with Freya Allen and Wes Ball about the character. But my guess at this point is that she's a rare breed that survived the virus in some way. I don't know, but I don't think this really gives any credence to the astronaut theory. But I do think it is interesting that we are getting confirmation that she is smarter than most, but she still hasn't said any lines. So I am wondering if she can actually talk, because we haven't gotten any dialogue from her. So how smart is she? We don't quite know just yet, but it is cool that they are acknowledging it. So then we get just more really amazing, stunning looking visuals from these close-up shots of the apes that I can never gush about enough. I'm trying to shut up a little bit about how stunning it looks, but man, I'm just in awe when I go through this trailer and look shot by shot at all these really, really well done close-ups. But we get this line from Noah, which, by the way, I really like the voice and I like the performance that Owen Teague is giving as this character. There's this youthfulness but heaviness that he's carrying, and I really like that. I think it differentiates him from Caesar. Actually, in a way, it feels like the Caesar we would have gotten if Caesar was able to talk in most of Rise of the Planet of the Apes at this level of intelligence, but he still feels like his own character. He looks a lot like Caesar, which obviously is making a lot of people wonder, is he related to Caesar? Is he a descendant of Caesar? I originally said I was pretty much 95% sure that he was a descendant of Caesar. I'm not so sure anymore. I'm actually starting to think that maybe he's just a completely unrelated original character, but I don't know just yet. It's too soon to tell. But in this scene, he's talking to one of his friends and he's saying that the elders did not tell us everything. So it really feeds more into what we've seen about this movie already, is that the history of humanity has been buried. I don't know who he's talking about when he says the elders. Is it the ape government? Is it the lawgiver? Maybe we'll get a lawgiver in this movie. I don't know. But obviously, the real truth about human history and about ape history has been buried, and not all of it is public knowledge to all the apes at this point. Obviously, as Noah is making very clear, our characters are discovering the past about themselves and about humans and what really happened there, how it all really went down. So in this scene, this is most likely going to be our first actual interaction between May and Noah. This is probably shortly after they meet, or shortly after Noah rescues her, or however they come into contact with each other. It's still not really clear where May comes from, because in this scene and in the scene before this, where I assume before this, where she's getting hunted, she is wearing a tank top and what looks like jeans. And here we see Noah giving her some sort of other clothing. I assume it's something that he already has on him. I don't think this really confirms or denies anything about May being an astronaut or May coming from somewhere other than this current time, but it is interesting that she is already wearing these clothes prior to meeting Noah. So speculation is still up in the air as to where she actually does come from, but we do see now that she doesn't find these clothes, or at least that jacket. Noah is the one that gives it to her. So there is that. And then we get this awesome shot of Proximus Caesar, who just looks unhinged as hell. He looks so menacing. The look at his eyes in all of these shots that we're seeing just tell me that this guy is crazy. He is so much of a believer in himself and his cause. He really just thinks that he is the one to lead. He is the one meant to rule, and that he is the one who should be in charge of all apes, and that his kingdom is supreme. And I am so in on this character. Everything we're seeing about him has just gotten me more and more excited, but this trailer in particular, I know it's too soon to tell and I don't want to jump the gun, and I'm sure I'll maybe regret saying this if I end up being wrong, but it really does feel like he could be a better villain than Koba. And I think Koba is the best villain of this trilogy by far. I'd make an argument that he's the best villain of the entire franchise. But from what we're seeing of Proximus so far, and especially if he doesn't die in this movie and if they continue his story in the next 2 films, I'm telling you guys, I really think that he has the potential to be the new top tier villain of the Apes franchise and just an all-time great classic movie villain, just like Koba was. So I'm so excited for everything they're bringing to the table with this character. I'm really, really excited to see more of him as we get closer to the movie. And then we get this scene, which to me is the most exciting part in the entire trailer. It is when I almost jumped out of my seat and cheered and screamed because the hype was through the roof during this moment. I mean, obviously this is kind of one of those big, exciting trailer moments that's made to get a rise out of you, and it's really just full of action. But what can I say? I'm a sucker for it because it worked. This bit right here where Noah saves May, and I'm assuming this is in the beginning of the movie. I think this is when May is being hunted. Why she's being hunted, again, they know that she's smarter than most of them. That's why they're hunting her. So at some point during the beginning of the movie, I think this is where Noah stumbles upon her and then he rescues her. But this scene, the way it's staged, the way it's choreographed, the stunt work, it's awesome. The way that she climbs the rock and just gets flung around onto the back of Noah's horse, I am so in. It looks really, really epic. It feels epic. It's grand. It's exciting. I'm all in.
Apes hunt humans. That is wrong.
And then in the middle of it, it's another scene that they intercut to make it kind of look like it's part of it. But there's a scene where Noah is saying, "You're hunting humans," and that's wrong. And right then and there is when I went, yeah, I'm gonna love this character. This is the character that I'm going to be standing up and cheering for the same way I did with Caesar back in those first 3 movies. And also, I love the line delivery. There's a bit of Caesar in that line delivery, which I would only assume comes from Andy Serkis mentoring Owen Teague when they were working on this film. But yeah, it's really exciting to me. All the ethical and moral stuff we're seeing with the dynamics between apes and humans when it comes to Noah and his feelings and Proximus Caesar and his feelings and all the other apes and how they treat humans and how humans are in this world. I'm so excited to see how that all plays out, what kind of themes they're going to play with there. It already feels to me like a lot of this movie is going to revolve around the moral and ethical dilemmas that come along with evolution and the rising and flourishing of a new society and how they go about that and how they make those decisions and who gets treated in what way and why. And so I really, really like that they're taking this approach. It looks like a lot of thought was put into it. A lot of depth is really on display here. And I'm really, really excited about that. And it confirms to me that Wes Ball was the guy for the job. And I'm so happy that this trailer especially is finally, I think, putting a lot of people's fears to rest. And I think people are finally coming around to the fact that no, Matt Reeves isn't doing this movie, but that doesn't mean it can't still be great, if not as good or even better than the movies that he made. I think what Wes Ball is doing here, along with Rick Jaffa and Amanda Silver, is just continuing what we love about these movies so much. It's talking about things that are important and asking questions that we as humans are constantly asking ourselves, but it's doing so in an epic way. It's doing so in a way that gives us a lot of spectacle and great characters. I love the scene here with Noah, and I'm assuming he's talking to Proximus Caesar when he says that's wrong, but he might be talking to somebody else. And then we get this scene of a big explosion happening at Proximus's kingdom. I don't know if this is towards the beginning of that sequence or towards the end, which will probably set off the big battle that will ensue between Noah and his apes and Proximus and his apes, whatever that may be. But I'm pretty sure it will probably be the latter, and this will be the event that sets that conflict in motion. And then we have this scene of, I think, Noah falling. Don't really have too much context here, so not too much to say. This scene right here is a fight, I think, between Noah and that ape that looks exactly like Rocket. So it confirms to me that that ape is one of Proximus's guards. So my guess is he will be kind of that character who's like, I guess, the Darth Vader to Proximus's Emperor, if you will. I think we'll have one or two of those types of characters who are the physical threat, who do the bidding of Proximus Caesar and are kind of the secondary villain. And so I think that's what we're seeing here, this fight between these two characters as Noah is trying to get away from this guy. And then we see another shot of these guys being led in chains to Proximus Caesar, and behind them you can see lots of different ruins of ancient human civilization now at this point. Looks really cool visually. I just love that image visually. It continues to build out that world and that history. And then we have this awesome line exchange that got me really, really excited, where Proximus Caesar says,
Together, you will die.
And then we see another shot of this scene of Noah and May and all the other apes climbing a mountain that we've seen a couple of times. And then we have this line from Noah in response to Proximus Caesar where he says, "No, together, strong."
No, together, strong.
Which obviously is a direct echo of Caesar's iconic line, and the iconic line that continued throughout the entire Caesar trilogy of apes together strong. So I really, really loved that they brought that back. It's a little bit of touching on that little bit of nostalgia, but it works and it's epic and it's fitting for the story we're getting here. Following that up, we get this shot of May and Noah and Raka together. I would assume this is probably earlier on into the movie. And then this shot got me really, really excited. What I was talking about earlier with the eagles, seeing that they're going to be utilized more throughout the movie. We don't see where the eagle actually ends up going, but we see Noah flinging him off his arm. And I'm wondering if he's going to send him into battle. I'm wondering if we're going to see apes using the eagles as some sort of attack animal. We'll see. We don't really see what it does here, but I just thought that was a really cool shot. That seems like that's where it's leading to, but I don't know for sure. I just thought it was really cool. And also the pure rage on Noah's face feels like a character that is very similar to Caesar, who is very empathetic. He's compassionate towards humans. He's compassionate towards other people, and he just wants to be a good person and do the right thing. But you don't want to piss him off because the rage is there and you can see it in his face right here. And then we get this shot of apes pulling something up. I don't know what. I don't know if this is part of a battle or if this is just apes building something in Proximus's kingdom at some point in the movie. And then this shot, really, really interesting. Don't know what these masks are, why they're wearing them, but I'm really curious as to why they would need them. My only guess is that this is part of some raid, some attack, some secret attack on a village, whether it be Proximus's people or somebody else going after Proximus's people. I don't know. I think it's probably similar to that other scene we saw in the first trailer where the gorilla is using the cattle prod and going to battle with that one older ape, Koro, in the first trailer. So I'm pretty sure these are part of the same scene, but I might be wrong. But either way, really, really fascinated to see where this is going. And really, I'm just curious about why the masks and what purpose they serve, or if they serve any purpose at all. Or maybe they're just there to look cool. I have no idea. And then we have this scene of Proximus Caesar going after an ape. At first I thought he was in a fight with Noah, but then when you cut down, I'm not so sure if it is Noah. It might just be him showing his dominance by taking out one of the weaker apes. I don't really know. Maybe someone like spoke out against him and he used them as an example. I don't really know. Or it could just be a fight between Noah and Proximus Caesar. Either way, it looks really cool. And then we see more of that attack on the village scene. I think what's happening here is Noah and Raka's village is under attack. I think that's what's going on in this scene. I think that's, again, similar to what I said with the gorilla and the cattle prod and the apes with the torches and the masks going to attack someone. I think these are all connected. I think it's some sort of attack on Noah's village, or maybe another ape village, but I'm pretty sure it's Noah's village because I think Koro comes from that same place. So we'll see what happens there, but that's my speculation as to what's going on here. And then we get the final shot of the trailer of Proximus Caesar. Can't really tell what's going on here. My guess is this is just towards the beginning of the movie during that same scene where he says "what a wonderful day" and he's giving his big speech to his people. So we will see what is going on with this scene when the movie comes out on May 10th, because that wraps up the trailer for Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. I am so excited for this movie. I am sure you all are too. I've seen the comments. I can see how excited you all are. Let me know your thoughts on this trailer. What are some other things you felt about it? How did this make you feel about Noah? I really, really took a lot of great things away from this about Noah. I'm really excited to see him as a protagonist. I think he seems like someone who's really compelling and really empathetic. How did this make you feel about Proximus Caesar? What else did it get you excited about? Was there anything here that you didn't see that you really wanted wanted to see? Was there anything that you got that you necessarily didn't want to see revealed in the trailer? Let me know your thoughts down below. I'm really excited to see what everyone thinks, and let the speculation begin, because we are now just under 3 months away from this movie. We have gotten 2 trailers. We know kind of a little bit about the plot, but we're still a little bit in the dark. We have a lot of questions, so very excited for what's to come. Wes Ball, Rick Jaffa, Amanda Silver, the entire cast, the people at Weta, everyone involved in this movie seems like they are knocking it out of the park, and I cannot wait to see what they have done with this film when it comes out this May. Thank you all so much for checking out today's video here on Ape Nation. If you liked this video, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so that you can stay up to date on all things apes. I'll catch you in the next one, so until then, goodbye.